Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about building chords, particularly jazz chords. I'm going to kind of do this from the ground up, but I'm also going to do it pretty quickly and focus most on chords. So there'll be a lot I'll leave off this video, but remember this is sort of an introduction to other videos that I'm going to do where I go through a song and give you the names of the chords and also how to play them on the guitar. I'll do those separately, that way you don't only have to be a guitarist to get something out of the channel. By the way, if you just subscribe to the channel, you'll have easier access and notifications if you have that turned on of when I have videos coming up, which hopefully you'll enjoy. Let's start with the 12 notes. Keep that as I'm going to keep it up here. So we're starting on A, not for any reason other than that's kind of a good place to start. I'm not saying that A is the lowest note in music. That depends on our ears, how low we can hear. Okay, so the idea is we have really a lot of times I'll just start by writing the natural notes first, because we all know the 7 natural notes, A through G. Eventually we get back to A and keeps going as high as we can hear. Between the natural notes, we have accidentals, which have 2 names. It could be A sharp or B flat, depending on the key it's in. Really, every note has 2 names. This could be B. This could be A double sharp. It is B. It could be C flat. But as far as common usage for the names of the note, it would be natural in almost every case. You would call this A natural, and almost about half the time you call it B flat, half the time A sharp, maybe more like 60% B flat. But let's not get into that. Okay, so C sharp, D flat, D sharp, E flat. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. I'm going to assume you either have some knowledge or you can do further investigation if needed. Not very good flat. G sharp or A flat. Oh, that's an ugly looking G sharp I wrote there. Oh well. So we're going to be using these 12 notes. I'm going to keep them here as a reference throughout the video. Okay, so basically I'm going to cover 2 ways to find a chord. So it's kind of like math where you have the advantage of a couple different ways usually to solve a problem. That way you can check yourself. Well, this is no exception. We're going to start off with the major scale. If you're not familiar with the major scale and how they're built, this video probably won't be enough. But hang in there, and maybe it will be. And if not, do some further learning on that in a different video maybe. So what we have is a series of whole steps and half steps to make up major scales and minor scales. And it's a whole steps. We use whole steps or we use half steps. A whole step are notes 2 notes apart, so like A to B, B to C sharp, E to F sharp, G to A. Those would all be whole steps. I wish I was on Zoom now, or I could just hit undo. One of the few times I wish I was teaching on Zoom. So it's better than nothing. Okay. So whole steps are 2 notes apart, and like you saw, A to B, B flat to C, and so on. From P birth. So happy birthday. That interval is a whole step. It's also called a major second. Okay, so those are whole steps. 2 notes apart. Half steps are basically right next to each other, 1 note apart. But the Jaws theme, a half step, or that I'm not sure what the first note is. I have to listen to it again. I'm not going to do that right now. So just know they're right next to each other. Fur Elise, Beethoven. Those notes are a half step apart. And the notes are E and D sharp. So now we're going to use these to build major scales. We're also going to use these to discuss intervals, and chords are built on intervals. So we're going to start with a major scale. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. I'm referring to whole steps and half steps. Whatever note we start on, well, we'll just follow along the intervals or the steps, and then that's how we'll figure out what scale we're in. So if we started on G, we would go G, A, B, half step to C, whole step to D, whole step to E, whole because of the E, F, we go to F sharp, and then we go to G. So that's a G major scale. Say we want to play a G major 7 chord, often notated with a triangle. John Coltrane was big on that. Or just written out major 7 or maj 7. So what we would do is take the 1, 3, 5, and 7 of the major scale, and that would give us G, B, D, F sharp. If we wanted to do a G7, we would take the same idea, only we would flat the 7. So G7 is 1, 3, 5, flat 7. 1, 3, 5, 7 gives us our G major 7. And when we flat the 7, so that would become an F. And that would be G7. Now we have G minor 7. And that's a G7, but with a flat third. G, B flat, D, F. So that's in the key of G. You would follow the same formula for different keys, only the sharps and flats would change according to what key you're in. Circle of fifths is a great tool to help you learn those and know those really quickly. Let me just erase this, and now I'll show you another way to find those chords. And that's through intervals. So intervals are just combinations of whole steps and half steps. We're only going to do major thirds and minor thirds today because I want this to be a quick video to get you going. Okay, so major thirds, 2 whole steps. You could also think if you're in a scale like the C major scale, which has the notes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And you could think 1, 2, 3. So that's a major third, or 2 whole steps. So C to E would be a C major. The first 2 notes of a C major chord, that would be a major third. So major thirds have 2 whole steps. Minor thirds have 1 whole step, 1 half step. Same time, I'm just going to write W and H, whole steps, half step. Let's do it for G because we did it for G before. So remember we have G, B, D, F sharp for our G major 7 chord. Okay, so now let's look at the intervals here. We have a major third, so those are 2 whole steps apart. We have a minor third, a whole step and a half step. And then to get to the F sharp, those are 2 whole steps, so that's a major third. So what this tells us is we could start on any note. Let's start on E flat. And we're gonna use this method now to figure out what notes are in an E flat major 7 chord. E flat, of course, would be the 1. Now, we would use the major third because to get a major 7 chord, we go major third, minor third, major third. That's the formula. So, major third above E flat, F, G. The minor third is a whole step and a half step. That gives us a B flat. And then we have a major third from the B flat, C, D. We did it right. We should be a half step away from the name of the chord, E flat, or the root note. Okay, so that's how to do an E flat major 7. If you remember, a shorthand way to do this is just flat the 7. So if we want an E flat 7, we would have a D flat in the chord. If we want an E flat minor, we would have a G flat in the chord. And that would be a E flat minor 7. I'm going to do this in the key of C to make it a little easier. So remembering the formula, this wouldn't be a bad thing to jot down. So 1, 3, 5, 7, or now that would be of the major scale, would give you a major 7 chord, major third, minor third, major third. Now for a dominant 7 chord, or just 7, you'd have 1, 3, 5, flat 7 in relation to a major scale, or major third, minor third, minor third. If done right, we're a whole step below the root. And if we do a minor 7, then we're going to do 1, flat 3, 5, flat 7, minor third, major third, minor third, half step to the octave, which is the root, just the same as the 1, but next register higher. I'm going to stop there. Please leave any comments if anything was confusing. I'd be happy to try to direct you to maybe other videos where they can fill you in. And we'll stop there.